So one time I had to record a podcast for I think TGFBI when they did like a bunch of like the industry people, and this was my parents' house. I did it in the backyard. I was like, it's beautiful outside, and then all of a sudden I totally forgot that there was the motocross event for the town because my parents live right by the local community fairgrounds and everything like that. So
I'm sorry, Rhys. Did you say motocross event?
yeah, like so I live like in the desert and there's like it's pretty good for motocross, right? Like people like well,
Sure.
I don't know. I'm not a motocross guy, as you can tell. But they do their biking or whatever it is, and they rev their engines and they go around in a circle real fast. And then yeah, they did that right at the same time I was recording a podcast outside.
I, Nate, can you name a worse background noise
I think that
for
actually
podcasting?
is a bottom two background noise behind maybe chainsaw.
Childbirth?
Hey, if you recorded a podcast during childbirth, I think that's a baller move.
Imagine. See, now I go, of course, to like your wife is giving childbirth, but imagine
Yes.
like you as a woman are giving birth, and you've got enough wherewithal to talk about like, oh, Vinny Pasquantino's had a real bad year. Like, how hardcore is that?
That deserves whatever sort of podcasting equivalent of a Golden Globe, an Emmy. If someone does that, I will subscribe to your podcast and I'll subscribe to your
Okay.
Patreon.
Yeah, I'd like to subscribe to your newsletters. I need more of your
Yes.
ideas. Whew.
That is going
Oh
to be
my.
a fantastic cold open.
I actually really really agree. I think
We're
that's
getting funny.
one of our betters.
I don't wanna try that hard. I ain't gonna show that card. People start to wonder if you live here now. And the boys in the corner are trying.
All right, everybody, welcome on into the On Deck podcast by Prospects Live. We are your hosts, your friends, your boys, and starting with me, Drew Wheeler, member of the Prospects Live Dynasty team. Happy to be here with you, as always, after a very eventful weekend of college baseball. With me, as always, are our co-hosts, your favorite parts of the show, starting, of course, with the free-range human, the face of baseball media, and, of course, I can't not give your actual title, the Prospects Live Pro Scouting Director, Rhys B. White. Rhys, how you doing?
I'm doing great. As you'll see, I'm trying to cover up the light behind me with my gigantic noggin. But yeah, I mean, at this point, I just have to embrace the nicknames. I feel like when they say you're as a kid, you just have to ignore the bullies because you're just feeding into them. And with all these nicknames I'm getting, I just got to ignore them. Not that you guys are bullying me.
I was about to say, and from one half of the bullies, I will warmly introduce the other half of the bullies. He is, of course, a member of the Prospects Live scouting team. He is a college baseball coach as of this week, if I'm not mistaken. I believe I heard you say that. He is wearing a fun dad hat. Credit to you for that hat. Love that. It's almost orange and white entirely, so I love that as well. It is your friend and mine, Nathan. Call me Nate Rasmussen. Nate, what up?
Wow, what an intro. That might be my favorite one yet. Yeah, I am now an assistant coach at my old school, Bushnell University, kind of handling a couple roles over there. So heading back to Eugene in the fall. And yeah, shout out Pardon My Take. That's probably my favorite podcast I kind of grew up listening to in high school. So I bought a hat to support them. Maybe we'll have hats someday that say Drew on them.
That'd be kind of rad if we just
I'd
had
buy
like one that said Drew, one that said Rhys, one that said Nate, and then maybe like with the On Deck logo underneath it or something. Hey, if anybody wants to design that, feel free. I am going to look, Nate, for a Bushnell hat. That way I can wear it and support you. I'm going to look for one of those after the show.
Maybe I'll just have to bring you one if we ever have an in-person pod. I don't know.
Maybe there's something in the works for that. We'll just have to keep that under these hats. But until then, let's move on and talk about some stuff going on in the baseball world. As you guys know, today's show is a good one. We've got lots of stuff going on that you guys at home are going to love. Like I said, college baseball has wrapped up conference championship weekend, and what a week. Crazy stuff all around. We've got some news in the prospect world to talk about. We have got some MLB players off to some hot starts, some news around Prospects Live, of course, and your favorite segment and mine. What's on your mind? So, guys, let's dive right in with the college baseball recap. controversy in the college baseball world, guys. Rhys, I believe you were the one that texted the group chat and said, boys, we got to talk Samford and we got to talk Mercer. So, Rhys, if you don't care, walk us through what happened, and then we'll all give our takes after you finish, starting with you, of course, sir.
So basically what happened in the baseball event heard around the world, between two powerhouse programs in Samford and Mercer. Basically what happened is, let me pull up the recap real quick. Okay. We have Michael Gupton. He hit a 2-run home run to give the Samford Bulldogs a 5-1 lead in the 6th inning. And then that's when everything in the world changed. Some people talk about certain events changing the world. I think there's going to be a before this and after this. And it really tells me what you think about baseball, depending on how you reacted to this. Michael Gupton decided to take his time going around, and he was, how do you say this? Gallivanting around the bases. He turned his back, and this is where things got really bad. He turned his back to Mercer shortstop Bradley Fry, and Bradley Fry was not happy. Bradley Fry started galloping towards him in a show of horses, battles between two, heavyweights, and that's when the whole thing shut down. That's when the whole baseball world shut down. The Mercer dugout lost their mind, and before I get into what I think of it, basically, then Samford ended up winning the game, I believe. And so basically that's the long, and then what happened, what I think that's really bothers me is I love long home run celebrations. You know how hard it is to hit a home run? I've never hit one. I probably will never hit one. If I hit a home run, I would be gallivanting around the bases. I've already talked about what I might do if I ever hit one in like softball or something like that. But no, basically what happened is that the entire Mercer team shut down. You could call it was pretty soft. They took the team off the field. I think what happened was kind of embarrassing for Mercer. Do I think that the celebration by Gupton was a little bit excessive? Yeah, a little bit. But also, if I was hitting a home run in my conference tournament in a very important game, I think I would also show some emotion. So I want to kick it over to you guys, but that's sort of what I think. I think the home run celebration was a little bit excessive. If we're doing like the blame pie, like we've talked about with the Red Sox, because again, we're a baseball podcast in 2025. We have to talk about the Red Sox. He has like a 15% part of the blame pie. Mercer and everybody else involved has the 85%.
Yeah, I think I share a lot of your opinions, Rhys. I think calling the Mercer head coach soft is kind of the perfect explanation here. Pulling your team off the field because you don't like what the other team did is just a silly way to go about your business. Go get tossed. Go get fired up for your team and yell at the umpire and say you should eject that guy and go get tossed and help your team win a game. I'm so for coaches getting tossed in a situation like that, not complaining and pulling your team off the field saying that this is mean or whatnot. I have hit a home run before in my life, but I ran around the bases because I didn't think it was gone, and I didn't realize it was gone until I got around third base. So those are my thoughts kind of on home run celebrations. It's excessive, but it's a conference tournament. I don't understand why it had to be such a big deal. It didn't have to be. It could have just been a cool baseball moment. If both sides would have just chilled out a little bit. I don't know. It frustrates me when these things get blown up when it shouldn't have been that way.
The more exciting part is that the Mercer shortstop's mom got ejected from the game. That's a pretty baller move on her part.
Stood on top of the dugout.
Yeah, she stood on business for her son, and I you have to respect that. That is the ultimate. That's what you want from a mom. So a shout out to her.
Yeah. I feel like I should preface this by saying, guys, you may not know this. I am a fan of the University of Tennessee baseball team. And so this comes as a shock, I know. But as a fan of the Tennessee baseball team, I feel like for me to criticize any team's braggadocious behavior is very closed-minded, blinded, pot calling the kettle black. You insert your own idiom here. I loved the home run trot. I'm with you, Rhys. It was excessive. Like it got excessive. And this is from a guy who, again, saw some of the Tennessee antics. It was just like, that's dope. But if it wasn't my team, I'd be pissed. So, it can get a bit excessive, and it did. But I'm curious. I want you guys to answer this. What does it say about me as a person or a competitor or whatever you want to call it, that if I were playing for Mercer, that would have been it would have done the opposite of what I think he was trying to do, and like demoralize and get himself hyped. It would almost turn me up to like 15, to where I'm like, okay, like you think you're hyped now, I'm ready to burn your whole team down. Let's really go now. You want to do that? Let's go now.
Yeah. I think that's the way it should have been taken. I think Mercer should have been like, well, if we didn't like this, so we should respond in an appropriate manner. Speaking of Tennessee and home run celebrations, which one was worse? Sanford's or Jordan Beck flipping the bird? Because that was something. That was Jordan Beck, right?
It was. I think it was he or Drew Gilbert. I don't remember. They both had just monumental home run celebrations the year you're talking about.
Jordan Beck flipped off opposing outfielder, which is kind of a move. I think that's I think that crosses a sort of an outfielder too.
I don't know. That kind of feels
not
so
the pitcher.
Awesome in my head.
It is awesome. Don't get me wrong. But
it's not awesome.
It's not.
But why the opposing outfielder?
Disrespectful. It's super disrespectful. It's super like, come on, Jordan, like get real. But I don't know. Nate, Nate, let's just say that by some bizarre twist of fate, you and I were teammates on Bushnell. There's a massive, huge cut to the program, and they're like, we got to get this fat guy out of Tennessee. He's gonna play something. If that was my reaction and we're on the same team, what would that like? Is that appropriate? Do you think that you would want a teammate who's like, no, that's cool, let him try it. We're gonna go out there and we're gonna shove it down his throat.
If a hitter did that against me in the NAIA when we have 50 fans at a game, I would go straight at him and I'd get ejected. Like I don't think I would be physically violent, but I wouldn't necessarily let that slide. If I were a coach and I saw a player doing that against me, I would 100%. Get ejected and go straight for the umpire. I wouldn't pull my team off the field. I think that almost ruins the momentum that Samford player created for Mercer, right? Because that fired up the Mercer guys, and the coach starts complaining, and it's like, I feel like it killed the momentum. If I was a Division I baseball player, for example, and that happened, you got to kind of just let it happen for better or for worse. I don't think you can go at a guy after they give up a home run in D1. I think it's a little different at the lower levels of baseball where, you don't really get shown up as much in those levels. And in situations where my teammates have been chirped at, or we had a situation this year where one of my players, my first baseman, got ran over in an intentional play in the bottom of the ninth with 2 outs to extend the game. I then came into the game and had to handle that situation. There's some things that you can let slide and some others. I think the level determines a lot. I think that the Samford player should be allowed to do that in a conference tournament.
There you go. Well, very good. So from one controversy, we will go to another one, because what's baseball without some good controversy on championship weekend? Nate, we're going to have you walk us through this one. Florida Gulf Coast and Stetson, the old Hatters. They had a little bit of controversy going on in that game as well, huh? Yeah.
So Stetson and Florida Gulf Coast essentially just had the worst time to have bad weather ever for the ASUN Atlantic Sun Conference tournament championship game. So Stetson came through the winner's bracket and had not lost yet, and Florida Gulf Coast needed 2 wins on Sunday to claim the automatic bid. Halfway through the first game, lightning was striking. They were not going to be able to finish the first game nor the second game, and with selection coming up on Monday morning, essentially they just had to award the automatic bid to Stetson, despite the fact that I believe Florida Gulf Coast was winning the game at the time and had a reasonable chance to get the automatic bid and win both games. So it's just something that you hate to see. I don't know if there's a whole lot of controversy here because this is the protocol that they had to follow. The higher seed just ended up advancing, and that was Stetson in this case, and they hadn't had a loss yet in the conference tournament. But Florida Gulf Coast had their dreams dashed. And you have to feel for like the seniors out there, the guys playing their last game. Like a weather cancellation is the worst way to have your season end, and I just think it's such a shame. And there's not a whole lot of controversy, but I don't know what you guys think. It just hurts me as a baseball guy.
I think it really sucks for Florida Gulf Coast. I think there's nothing. I think that. Maybe they shouldn't play conference tournaments in Florida because let me tell you, Florida, their weather, not predictable. Who would have guessed that would happen? And especially outside. But, you can't really control that sort of thing. It really sucks for the Florida Gulf Coast players. I really feel for them.
Yeah, Mother Nature really played a part in that one. And I mean, it sucks. It's just like Rhys said. The weather, especially the further south you get, if you don't like the weather, give it a minute, it's going to change. And Florida is absolutely the same way. Um, I hate that for Gulf Coast. I know Stetson, they have an interesting team, but really, I'm not sure that Gulf Coast would have gone much further than they will in the tournament. But either way, it's not really about going far. It's about the honor of making it there. I mean, Nate, we don't have to tell you, buddy. You were just telling us about just the honor of being there, losing the first 2 games or not. It was hype for you to be there.
Yeah. I played in a NAI regional during my career, and we went from Oregon to Georgia, and it was just an experience unlike any other, because our team had never made it that far in the playoffs before. So it's more about knowing that you made it than actually being there in a sense. And it's just a tough situation. I've played with 2 guys who are on the Stetson team currently, and I'm sure glad that they made it to a regional. But man, Florida Gulf Coast, it's just a brutal situation, and there's just not much else to say, I suppose.
Yeah, it absolutely is. You're absolutely right. Let's go on though to some teams that did qualify for the tournament. Teams who won their conferences, or teams that happen to be some of the number 1 seeds. Some of those 16 seeds that are top 16, who are hosting regionals across the nation. I say across the nation. It's really more in the Southeast United States and a couple on the West Coast. But that's just fine for us. I don't think any of the 3 of us are going to argue with the West Coast and the Southeastern United States. That covers the 3 of us pretty well. So Vanderbilt, just like everybody drew it up, Vanderbilt came out as the SEC tournament champions. They small-balled everybody to death, and then in the finals decided to go home run happy against Ole Miss. They finish as the number 1 overall seed, and of course, again, the number 1 in the tournament thus far. Rhys, any specific thoughts about Vanderbilt? What do you think they're going to do? Looking forward to the Nashville regional.
I think that it is a pretty easy regional for Vanderbilt. Honestly, like Louisville's good. East Tennessee State always has like guys that pump premium stuff, but it's like, do they know where it's going? Do the batters have to sign a waiver to be in the batter's box? Do the fans behind home plate have to sign a waiver? But Wright State's consistently a pretty good team. They consistently pump out a guy or 2 every year. I think that this is a pretty good thing for Vanderbilt. And also, I want to complain about Vanderbilt. They have, I forget which one of their jerseys there are. It's truly horrific. It's like I can't describe it very well, but just look up Vanderbilt's jerseys this year. One of them's like really bad. It's like no creativity whatsoever.
Love to hear it. Vanderbilt, I guess theoretically, if I'm not going to cheer for Tennessee, I'll cheer for a team from Tennessee. So Vanderbilt would be, I guess, begrudgingly my choice, as much as I hate to say it. East Tennessee State, though, like you said, interesting team this year, those Buccaneers. Nate, what do you make of Vanderbilt? Do you think there's any trouble to be found in their regional, especially with Louisville making the dance for the first time in a minute?
Vanderbilt scares me a lot, which is kind of why I added this to the prep sheet. I don't know if they play the kind of brand of baseball that is super regional friendly, but they got hot at the right time, which is what matters in college baseball. I'm so sorry, Drew, but they won 2 out of 3 at Tennessee. They swept Kentucky, and then they swept their way through the SEC tournament. It's interesting, but they only have 1 hitter who's hitting over 300 on their whole team right now. I think the pitching can be questionable at times. I think it's one of the weakest number 1 overall seeds that we've had in a long time. So I wouldn't think of them in this traditional 1 seed necessarily format. I think that they play more like a middle, like a 8 seed host in a way. But then again, they're way better at home than on the road this year. I think they're right around 500 on the road. They're 28-5 at home, and they're going to be playing in their backyard. So I think it bodes well for them. But at the same time, I don't think it's a walk-through regional. I don't know what you think, Drew.
I definitely agree. I think, again, it's unfortunate because, Wright State's not the strongest team, but ETSU is, that's a 40-game winner. And then Louisville, you can never count out Louisville, especially they've made it here. They are playing with house money at this point. Again, let's look a little deeper though. Let's look at Super Regional for Vanderbilt, because they are paired up with the Hattiesburg region for Super. Southern Miss. If this is a team that cannot hit, beyond RJ Austin, if we're looking at Southern Miss pitching against Vanderbilt, that's going to be an interesting matchup. But then even maybe more so, what about Alabama? One of the hottest teams this entire year. The first team to beat the University of Tennessee Volunteers this season. I think Alabama or Southern Miss would match up favorably with Vanderbilt, despite the fact that Vanderbilt is hot. And like you said, I think Alabama, they really wanted to host. So they're going to come in with, I don't know that it's going to be a chip as much as maybe a potato farm on their shoulder to see what they can do against Vandy. Any more further thoughts about the Vanderbilt's regional, Rhys, or their path to Omaha? Rhys, Nate, either of you
No,
guys?
I think you nailed it on the head.
Thank you, sir. I tried that. I'll put my hammer away because we are talking about now North Carolina, probably the most impressive team I've watched this weekend. I came away, guys. I think Luke Stevenson is maybe one of my top 5 players in this draft. That guy is an absolute smoke show freak. He can catch, he can mash, everything I want in a catcher. I will probably rate Luke Stevenson higher than you. Sorry, not sorry. Nate, we're going to kick it to you first. North Carolina. First, let's look at their regional. But of course, if you want to touch on the ACC championship, we'd love to have it as well.
Yeah, this kind of goes back to my last point of the teams that are hot heading into the postseason have the best chance. That's just something I've experienced playing baseball my whole life, and North Carolina might be one of the hottest teams in the country after their conference tournament run. I don't think it's like the easiest regional ever, but I don't think it's one of your harder ones. Holy Cross is kind of just an interesting throw in at 4, in my opinion. Then Nebraska and Oklahoma could shake things up. I think North Carolina is definitely going to be the favorite there, more so than even like a Vanderbilt, in my opinion. I think they're doing the right things, and then they match up against this Eugene regional and with Oregon, Arizona, Cal Poly, and Utah Valley, and that is one of my favorite kind of random anyone could win this regionals,
Yeah.
and we'll just have to see what happens. But North Carolina should be the favorite in both of those.
Rhys, what do you make of North Carolina? Both their regional, they really ran through the ACC tournament. Really on Saturday and Sunday, especially, just looked like a different class of team, even in a very great conference, being the Atlantic Coast. And then, Rhys, what do you also think about their matchup potentially against one of these teams from Eugene?
I think this Eugene regional is one of the more interesting ones. I'm very interested in the way in which they seeded it. But this North Carolina team, like you said, they were just truly dominant. I kind of took like a little bit of time off from baseball this weekend, but I kept seeing North Carolina was just, it looked like they were playing a different sport than some of the teams that they were facing off against. It was just different. And I don't know if you guys, I think we talked about it pre-show. This Eugene one, honestly, I could see any of these teams winning. Cal Poly's continually underrated. They have a fantastic coach. They continue to pump out really good players. Arizona, if everybody's healthy, if Brandon Summerhill is healthy and playing, which has been kind of a mystery on why he's not playing at certain points. He pitch hits sometimes. Mason White is one of the better like power speed shortstops in this draft. You have Aaron Walton, who is one of my favorite seniors in this draft. I covered the Big 12 this year for the Daily Sheet, College Daily Sheet. So obviously I'm very familiar with some of these Big 12 teams. But Aaron Walton, he, like last time I checked, he was hit by a pitch 20 times this season. He just was addicted to getting hit by pitches, which is one way to get on base. And but I think Arizona's really good. I think Cal Poly has a chance to upset Oregon. I would honestly say that Arizona and Cal Poly have a better chance to lead out of this regional than Oregon does.
Addicted to a different kind of hit. Love that for him. That's very interesting. I'm with you, buddy. I honestly, I don't want to spoil it, but I know, Nate, you're really high on Cal Poly. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. But, man, Arizona, like, I'm not really sold on the fact that Arizona shouldn't be the 1 seed in this regional. But regardless, the system knows better than us, I suppose. So Oregon is going to host in Eugene. Never mind with any of that. Let's move on from this, guys, really quickly. Talk about an injury that has really kind of derailed one of the more hype-inducing teams, at least preseason. The Texas A&M Aggies, Jace Laviolette, broke a bone in his right hand, guys. I believe it is one of these bones in here. You guys far more medically inclined than I am. Rhys, I'm pretty sure you are a known physician. Nate, I believe you have plenty of experience with hands and hand injuries, so I'll pass that to you guys. But Jace Laviolette, Rhys, you called it one of the stupidest things you've ever seen, that Laviolette was allowed to hit on Saturday.
Yeah, I truly believe this is like a college team, I guess at this point they're professionals, right? Organizational malpractice. I think it's dumb from everybody's perspective. I understand team spirit, whatever, but it's not like Jace Laviolette didn't just win a College World Series last year. So it's like, it's a bit, it's a confusing move from his part, from his representation, because they're technically not agents yet, even though they kind of are, from their part. And then it's just I don't understand it. And then the swing looks terrible. Why not just let him heal and get ready for Pro Bowl? Like, I don't get it. I think it's confusing. I think it's just hurting everyone. And it's like, then you're going up there and you're having a guy who's like, it might be an incredibly, what do you call it? Like, uncompetitive at bat.
Nate, I'm curious because, again, we talked about it last episode, how your piece about your college baseball career is one of my favorite things that I've read this year thus far, this calendar year. You probably can relate a lot to Laviolette wanting to go out there and give everything that he's got, kind of even knowing that he has a catastrophically large payday right ahead of him, still wants to go out and put it all on the line for the Aggies. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, while it is one of the more stupid decisions, I can 100% like relate to Jace in like a totally different kind of way. There was nothing that was going to take him off the field, obviously, and trying to fight for a chance to continue his college baseball career. No matter what his agents or the school said, he was going to play, whether it meant getting surgery or not. He did get surgery, which is even more insane. And obviously, like a hand injury like that saps all of your power instantly. He probably could barely hit it, past an outfielder if he tried. And that isn't putting your best foot forward for what your team might need, because there's probably someone on the bench who could do more in that role. But it's just the inspiration that probably gave to his team. And even though it didn't work out, I think it's one of those classic baseball stories. I mean, last year I pitched through a nerve problem all year, and then this year I ended up tearing my labrum halfway through my season and kept pitching. And it's just kind of like, at some point, something's coming to an end. You want to make it last as long as you can, and I don't think it's going to hurt his draft stock in a whole bunch of ways, in my opinion, because he'll be healed up and stuff like that in no time. And if anything, it just shows the character that Jace has continually put forward, that he loves baseball more than anyone could ever love baseball. And that's what you want out of a player, regardless of how you view him as a prospect or not.
Rhys, I do want to kind of throw it to you just based on what Nate was just saying, because, Laviolette came to bat and then did shoot one up the right side. He put a ball into play, singled to right field, drove in a run. And then in his second at bat of the day, flew out to center and earned a sacrifice fly. That's another RBI. Do you think, Rhys, from the pro perspective, that teams will look at that, and will they be, I joked about it on the College Daily Sheet, but do you think that teams will be drawn in by the grit, by the desire to help the team win no matter what? I don't think it will hurt him necessarily. I don't think any teams will look at him and be like, moron. But at the same time, does it affect that, you think?
I think that it gives them like a light bump up for the old school scouty types that are like, I love it when people go out there and grind it out and deal with it. I do kind of fear, like, what could this do? Like an injury might change some things, like with his swing and everything, but he's still going out there and performing. I think it kind of raises his stock a little bit. Although, like, what is his stock? Like, what's the ceiling for Jace Laviolette going number 2 to the Angels, and being in the majors in the next week? So, like, yeah, not knocking the guy. He'll get like a nice $8 million payday. So it's not a bad thing at all. I just think that it doesn't make any sense. Like, I think it just starts off his pro career a little bit slower and everything like that. I just think there's a lot more downside than upside here.
Well said.
And
well said.
And it's not like Texas A&M is some team that doesn't have someone good sitting on the bench. They're a loaded team with a lot of really interesting options. They might have to platoon that spot, but they could still find ways to get good production from his spot.
It's likely so. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm intimately knowledgeable about A&M's bench, but at the same time, you are right. I mean, this is a team that came into the year ranked number 1. This was the team that everybody thought was the number 1 with a bullet, and the fact that they crashed out in the SEC championship. Laviolette, their inarguable team leader, injured, now not even in the field for Omaha. unfortunate. Guys, let's move on. Let's talk some more regionals. We've kind of dove in a little bit on a couple of them, 3 or 4 at this point. But what I'm thinking is let's talk about each of us pick one regional and talk about, that one just for whatever reason. I'm going to pick one at random. Boop, 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 boop. Knoxville. Okay. All right. So Knoxville, the number 1 seed, of course, the Tennessee Volunteers, lost in the semifinals of the SEC championship to the eventual champion Vanderbilt. Tough loss for Tennessee, guys. 10-0 run ruling in 7 innings. Yoinks. Not what you want to see as a Vols fan. And as I kind of alluded to on the Daily Sheet and earlier, small balled the Vols to death. It was a lot of singles. It was a lot of defensive miscues from Dean Curley. The season storyline rolls onward. But alas, Tennessee is hosting. Big win, big win. Maybe one of the most excited I have ever been in my life for a win over Texas. I pumped my fists doing the dishes to the point that my wife thought that I had injured myself. No, babe, just very, very excited. In that regional, we do have Wake Forest as the 2 seed. Interesting 2 seed there. Cincinnati, Rhys, old friends of yours, at the 3 seed. And then Miami of Ohio, the MAC champs, if I'm not mistaken, at the 4. Guys, I'm looking at this and I feel incredibly blessed as a Tennessee fan. I was horrified I was going to see West Virginia as the 2 seed here. Did not want. No, thank you. So with Wake, Cincinnati, Miami rounding out the crew in Knoxville, I feel pretty good. I can never rest on laurels. They're going to be must-see television in the Wheeler household, but I feel pretty good. Rhys, we'll kick it to you first. I know you've covered some of these teams. Curious, what's your thoughts on this regional?
I think that Tennessee should win this regional. Cincinnati is a very tough team. They're very veteran laden. They have Carrington Cross, who's been in college baseball since the Reagan administration, it's felt like. But he's consistently, I think I keep saying it on the College Daily Sheet, he is the straw that stirs the drink for the Cincinnati offense. I was about to say the Cincinnati Bengals, but not the Cincinnati Bengals. And they might need him to play defense if you've seen that roster. Yeah, Carrington Cross is really good. They have some really good arms. They have some really interesting transfers and everything. I think this is it's a good 3 seed. I think it's going to be a tough 3 seed for Tennessee to deal with, but I think that they're going to more than handily take care of this. I think Wake Forest is always sneaky. They're not easy to deal with, but yeah, I think Tennessee should pretty handily walk away with this regional.
Nate, we were talking before we came on the air that Cincinnati, as purveyors of the run game, could give Tennessee some fits. Tennessee has had trouble stopping the stolen base threat all season long. Beyond that, maybe including that, what's your thoughts on this regional, sir?
Yeah, I mean, Cincinnati steals better than almost anyone in the field at this point. I'm seeing 128 stolen bases, and they've only been thrown out 14 times on the base paths. That's an impressive number. I tend to think that teams steal less in playoff baseball because it is a riskier maneuver than stealing a bunch early in the year against worse competition. Carrington Cross is one of the most complete players in college baseball this year, in my opinion. And then Nathan Taylor is probably approaching ace status for them. After that, I think the talent drops off quite a bit. But if any team were to upset Tennessee, I think Cincinnati's the one. I'm not moved by Wake Forest. And Miami of Ohio is a good story because they haven't made a postseason appearance in forever, apparently. So I think you should be fine, Drew.
Well, thank you, guys. You've given me nothing short of confidence to either see a Tennessee victory or know that I have similar thoughts to 2 of the smartest fellers I know. Nate, we were just talking to you. Talk us through a regional you want to chat about, buddy.
Yeah, I think this LSU regional is wide open. I think, or no, not wide open. It's not wide open at all.
I was about to say.
No, sorry, I'm
really
mixing my words there. I really like Rhode Island this year. I think LSU has just been handed a berth, and I'm already looking ahead to, are they going to face Clemson, West Virginia, or Kentucky, which maybe is the better region to talk about here. But LSU is DBU is cool. They're fun. I don't think that they're a legitimate threat by any means. And then Rhode Island and Little Rock are rounding out the regional. I am at a loss in a sense for how that one came to be. And I don't understand the regional process as well as I should, but I think that it is flawed because we get regionals like this where LSU is just going to win. And that's just what it is. I would be shocked if anything else happened.
do you
Rhys,
think
your
they
thoughts
play?
on the? Go ahead, buddy.
Who do you think they play out of the Clemson regional? I think it's West Virginia, by the way, if you're asking me.
I don't want to tail you, but I like West Virginia too. I think like Drew said earlier, that's the 2 seed you didn't want to see in your regional, and they match up against a Clemson team that's probably around the same skill level.
Oh, I think West Virginia is better.
I do too. I'll take Clemson just because I don't want to see West Virginia anymore. I hate to keep going back to Knoxville, but it made so much sense for West Virginia to be the play there because the fans could, anyway, whatever. I guess Wake is pretty similar in that regard, but I think going back to the region we're talking about in Baton Rouge, I think DBU plays pretty well, at least pitching wise, against LSU. LSU that I kind of jokingly called SPU in the daily sheet earlier this weekend. I think Dallas Baptist, like we said, always interesting. They always put some quality pitchers in the mix and in the draft into the minor leagues. But I think LSU is just far and away the most complete team here. Shout out to our boy, Danny Dickinson. I imagine he is eating a gooey brownie tonight. But to answer your question, I think West Virginia is the most dangerous team, but I will take Clemson to stand on business, much like what was the gentleman's name from Stanford? Much like his mother, and close it out. So we will see an all Tigers Super Regional would be my guess. Nate, anything else on that one before we move forward on your regional choice?
Nope.
Rhys, walk us through a region you want to talk about, buddy.
Okay, I want to talk about the Los Angeles Regional. Who would have guessed that I picked the one that was closest to me by quite a lot, actually. Only like 3-hour drive away. But yeah, I want to talk about it. I think that really this is kind of an up-in-the-air regional. I don't think UCLA is the best hosting team by, they have a lot of talent for next year's draft, but it's like inconsistent. They played the Big Ten, and the Big Ten's football, they're really good. Baseball, it's varying. UC Irvine is probably the best team here. They've consistently been one of the better teams in the country, continually getting underrated. Zot for all the anteaters out there. And then you have Arizona State. Their offense has been very weird this season. I think Fresno State honestly might be better than Arizona State. I mean, Fresno State has someone that when I went up to go see Tyler Bremner this season, who I don't think UC Santa Barbara made the thing, but yeah, when I saw Tyler Bremner this season, everyone was talking about Murph Gray as being one of the best players in California. And Murph Gray, he is a big boy, 6'4", 230. He just hits the absolute crap out of the ball. Was he playing the Mountain West Conference? Yeah, but you can only play who's put in front of you. And Murph Gray might be one of the best hitters in this regional. I'm going to pick a winner. I was going to say if I have to pick a winner, I'm going to go with UC Irvine. They've just been consistently one of the better teams, continually flying under the radar because they're not in a big time conference, but they continually they're just so good.
Nate, your thoughts on the LA regional?
Yeah, I mean, I'm all over UC Irvine, just like Rhys. I'm chasing tail here. 20-5 on the road, better than their 16-7 at home. Multiple ranked wins on the road this year. Some really big series sweeps. Took down UCLA, I believe, in 1 out of 2 midweek games this year, which I know midweek, whatever. Swept Cal Poly. There's some really impressive wins. Took a really good one from Oregon State on a Friday night in Corvallis. Some impressive wins throughout the year for UC Irvine. And I'm not super high on UCLA at this point. So I honestly think UC Irvine should be the favorite here.
Very interesting. I think Irvine, for all the credit that Oregon State is getting for their incredible RPI and for their, road madness this season, Irvine's almost the poor man's Oregon State in that regard. Would you agree, Nate?
Yeah, I think Irvine was kind of number 1 in the mid majors for most of the year as far as kind of power rankings.
Yeah. I'm with you guys that I think Irvine's going to be trouble for UCLA. They've already upset them once. It could happen again. And Rhys, love the shout out for Murph Gray. That guy is a freak show. And like you said, who cares that it was the MAC? Like this is a dominant player who's going to look good at the next level. I expect to see him called in July. Guys, any more regionals you want to talk about before we move forward to talking about a little bit more about the process?
I think Conway is an interesting one. I think I like all the teams there. That's really the only other one. And then I'm sure we'll talk about Eugene here soon.
Yeah, I assume we will. Conway is interesting. Florida's pitching, always something. And I'm curious to see how that matches up with Coastal, because I think Florida might take, and this is not me being an SEC homer. I would never by choice say something good about the University of Florida. But I do think Florida can take that regional with relative ease even. Rhys, any thoughts on that one?
I'm with you. I think Florida might take that one. I think a regional I wouldn't mind talking about is Athens. I think the Athens region is really interesting. I think that Georgia's a good team, don't get me wrong. But Oklahoma State, the idea of the upside of Oklahoma State is very scary. Does the upside consistently show itself? No, it's been a very weird season for Oklahoma State. Shout out Sean Youngerman, one of my favorites in the Prospects Live mock draft simulator. I drafted him in the third round every single time. It's just printing profit at this point. The moment that he got put in the rotation, that dude has been lights out. Duke has had an up and down season. Shout out Brian Sikowski. I hope that everything works out well for you, my man. But and yeah, big Michigan guy. Go Lions with Brian. But yeah, I think it's an interesting regional. I don't think Georgia is the runaway favorite by any means. If Oklahoma State finally puts together the upside, Nolan Schobert isn't striking out 50% of the time, it feels like. If that whole their whole team is finally shows up, this could be a very dangerous team.
Nate, any thoughts on the Athens regional, buddy?
I think that's one of the few that is just kind of up for grabs. I think kind of like Clemson and Eugene and Conway. I think I don't know. I kind of like all three of the top three seeds there. And then Binghamton is there. Shout out.
Yeah, shout out Binghamton. They're there, and nobody can take it away from them. I love Robbie Burnett. I think he may be one of my favorite players in college baseball this season for Georgia. So perversely, I'd like to see them do well. But at the same time, Youngerman, Rhys, excellent shout out. I love Youngerman. And like you said, in the mock drafts, he's a cheat code. So that's great. But man, Duke, if Duke can put it together, I think they'll push Georgia. Maybe not beat Georgia, but I think they'll push Georgia. I do think I think that if I were forced to choose, I think Georgia is the best team here. I think they match up really well with Duke and kind of are that, I don't mean this badly, but like a big brother type. They are you just a little bit better in every regard this year. I do kind of want to draw attention to what would be facing them in the super regional, but we will leave you to do that at home. That is, of course, the Oxford regional featuring number 1 seed Ole Miss, 2 Georgia Tech, 3 Western Kentucky, who won 46 games, and then number 4 the Murray State Racers. But guys, let's move on really quickly and talk about Nate. You found something interesting in the D1 baseball comments section. Chris Shield had something pretty interesting to say. I'd love it if you could walk us through this because it was a really interesting read.
Yeah, it's unbelievable that I'm perusing the D1 baseball comment sections. I guess that's where we're at now. So this kind of rings true to some things I've experienced before, and this is always about kind of like who deserves to get in, who doesn't. I know it's huge in March Madness, but it applies here as well. So last 4 teams in were ASU, K-State, Oklahoma State, and USC. First 4 out were Southeast Louisiana, UConn, Troy, and Virginia. So he's comparing all 8 of these teams on RPI, ISR, and ELO. So I want to draw attention to Boyd World's ISR specifically. I think it's Boyd's World. He runs a great website that does rankings for all of college baseball's teams and probably other things as well. And I've found that it is the most accurate prediction system and ranker of any of these between RPI and ELO. In NAI baseball, we have something called the Bow Chip, which consistently is so wrong, but it's the primary criteria for selecting playoff teams. And it always fails come playoff time when the teams that are lower on the Bow Chip get in over the higher ones and so on. But that's a whole NAI ball thing. So ISR is essentially RPI taken to infinite levels deep, says Chris Shield. Not just like 2 RPIs, and because of that, it is superior mathematically. And if you go to the ISR website, the committee got it exactly right in terms of the 4 teams that got in and the 4 teams that got out. So this is an interesting time to consider if RPI and ELO and some of these other metrics used to put teams in and out are even doing enough, because something like Boyd's World's ISR has shown time and time again to take more care into what they're doing and have more data points and so on. And I just think it's foolish that we aren't using stuff like ISR as primary criteria for these selections. when it has proven to be better and be more complex. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on selection shows and such, but I just think the primary criteria should be more in depth than something like RPI, which honestly doesn't feel like it gets things right that often.
RPI is a thing of the past. It should be a thing of the past, right? We should, as a society, we're getting better with math. We're learning everything that we can. RPI, because it basically just takes, what is it? It's basically it's more or less like using Pythagorean like runs and stuff like that, right? Like it's a very like similar, like if you get a big series of win on the road, if you're on the road team, then that really bumps you up quite more than I think honestly it should. Shout out to Elo. I'm a big Elo guy. I don't know if you guys know this. I'm a big chess guy. I love to play chess. When I'm sitting on my phone, I just play chess all the time. I'm not good, but I still like to play. I get my ass kicked all the time. Shout out to Elo. And yeah, you're right. I think that we need to move on from RPI. RPI just consistently gets it wrong. It's like every year I tune in around this time and I listen to the D1 baseball podcast. Shout out to those guys. And they're constantly complaining about how RPI just doesn't get it right. And I'm like, at this point, what especially as a sport that tends to be more on the cutting edge of like numbers, mathematics, data, and everything like that, why are we still using something from what, like the 1980s? It feels like.
Yeah, I'm interested in the fact that ELO ranks chess players, and I love this about ISR. I hadn't heard of ISR, but getting to know it here, I think that's super interesting. I'm going to have to start following that from the jump next year for the next college baseball season. But I feel bad because I think that UConn, Virginia, I'm a little miffed that these teams didn't make it, but at the same time, I like what this is saying, that the right teams made it apparently based on infinite levels deep, as Chris Shields' comment said, and as you so eloquently put it there, Nate. I think it's super interesting to know that mathematically speaking, and I love the phrase infinite levels deep. That just transcends my pea brain. My small Tennessee brain can't comprehend this. I love that. So big fan of that. And especially like you said, Nate, if it hit it right on the button, like if it's the top teams are the ones that got in, I think that this ISR is onto something, huh?
Yeah, and if you were going off, ISR rankings, they obviously have strength of schedule and such. Texas is the number 1 team in the country. Coastal Carolina at number 7. There's a lot of interesting thoughts on if we change the way that we choose to rank these teams and remove some of the biases, which is what Boyd's World does, how teams would rank. And things would be completely different, quite frankly, and kind of removing previous histories and such is something that I think infects a lot of college sports in today's age.
I like that. Nate, if you don't mind, run us through really quickly bids by conference. Just which conferences had the most bids into the field of 64?
Yeah, so SEC with 13, ACC with 9, and Big 12 with 8. Those are your kind of big 3 right there. Big 10 got 4 in. Sun Belt with 2, big Sun Belt guy. American Conference with 2, Conference USA with 2, and Big West with 2. Every other conference, obviously, just with 1. I think the most interesting thing there is just seeing 13 SEC teams just shows you, I mean, that is where the good baseball is played. I think you can always just look at that number and understand that any of those 13 teams could reasonably win their regional. And I think that's kind of been shown throughout history. I don't know if you guys have any takeaways though from bids by conference.
I mean, as baseball moves towards the southeast and everything like that, as NIL moves everything there, it's no surprise. Honestly, the only surprise is I'm surprised the SEC didn't find a way to get more teams in there. I'm kind of surprised, as someone who covered the Big 12 all year, I don't think there was 8 tournament teams there. Like I covered it every day for every weekend for an entire season, and some of those teams are interesting. We'll say that to put it nicely. But I didn't think that any of them. I didn't think that a couple of them should have been in there, and that honestly could open up more spots for the SEC and stuff like that. But as we talk about in all college sports, the smaller conference teams are just kind of getting squeezed out and everything. As the bigger teams and everything, everyone's moving to the SEC, the ACC, and the Big Ten. It kind of hurts everything else. But in baseball, the Big 12 still kind of around. And shout out to the ACC for being the number 2 conference in the country. It just means less. Shout out to those podcast guys.
It's funny. I kind of also want to talk about the ACC. SEC teams there's 13 bids here because SEC is the best conference in baseball, college baseball. I have no reservation saying that. I don't think that you guys would disagree with me. I don't really think anybody who's thinking rationally would disagree with that. That said, I saw a tweet today, and I really wish I could remember who it was because I almost direct messaged them and asked, because they were talking about how the ACC was disrespected again. Only nine bids. ACC disrespected again. And the question I was going to ask is, really, what would you have done differently? What in exact terms happened here that you are so vehemently against? I mean, I'm not going to look this up, but if anybody wants to comment down below, let's assume you took away 3 bids. Let's assume you took away 4 bids. 1 from the Sun Belt, 1 from the American, 1 from CUSA, 1 from Big West, and you assigned all 4 of those to ACC teams. What 4 ACC teams deserve to make it over those other ones? I'm not going to do myself to troubleshoot this math. I just learned all about how the ISR system is infinite levels deep and so much smarter than anybody who could have theoretically posted that on my Twitter. No offense to you, because you're likely smarter than I am. I just think that to complain at this point is such a moot thing to do because, guys, we just talked about multiple. I think there's very few regionals we haven't kind of talked about thus far on the show. I think that there's really nothing stopping several ACC teams from being better seeds than their SEC counterparts in these regionals. Anyway, that was annoying, but I that's kind of my main takeaway from bids by conference is I think that this is done really well. And I love to see, like you said, Sun Belt. Like I love that the Sun Belt got 2 bids. The American, CUSA, like that's dope. I love getting to see these teams come out and play some of the guys that we're going to see drafted because, obviously my interest in college baseball stemmed initially from just wanting to see the next slew of prospects. But in the last 3-4 years, really loving the game and sort of seeing it evolve to the point where, on a random Thursday, I'm interested in putting on a Big West game like that. That's awesome. And I love that. So love to see these teams qualifying. Guys, let's talk underdogs that you like in their regionals. We have alluded to many of them. So, Rhys, I'll ask you if you have a list, go through your list and then kind of give me more detail on one of them.
Yeah, I'm going to go with my first one, Kansas State. They're the 3 seed in their regional, in the Austin regional. I think that they're really good. You have fantastic pitching. Jacob Frost is one of the better pitchers in all of college baseball. Jack Frost, as I call it, he keeps nipping at these hitters. He's been fantastic. You've got a really good, well-structured lineup. Everyone's sort of, it is kind of hot and cold, but I think that if they get hot, they can take down Texas, honestly, and maybe advance out of this regional. My next one, as I told you, I covered the Big 12 a lot. West Virginia. I think West Virginia is massively disrespected. I think they had a chance to be a regional hosting team. They have consistent hitting from Skylar King, Sam White. They have their pitching staff is almost as old as I am. But it just continues. They get outs. They don't get a lot of swings and misses, but damn it, do they get some ground balls and they get some flyouts. Their coach is also really good. I listened to an interview with him. Fantastic, really smart baseball mind. And then I'm going to go with a 4 seed because I went from a 3 seed to a 2 seed to a 4 seed now in Fresno State. I know someone on the Fresno State squad. He went to the local community college by me. He's been fantastic. He's touching 98 in JUCO ball. I don't know how he ended up out here in the middle of I don't want to cuss anymore. Out middle of nowhere. But Fresno State, like I said, everything is all sort of lining up for them. We're talking about one of the better underrated hitters in the middle of the lineup at Murph Gray. And I think that they have a chance to win in what is a very up in the air regional.
Impressive. Thank you. With you there. I'd love to see Texas lose again in the next week. Because a great deal of joy.
Nothing would make me happier. When a college coach just leaves in the middle of the night like that, it's just like you're, what do they call it, persona non grata? Your public enemy number 1. I can't stand that crap.
Rhys, you and I have bonded over the last 3 years over a great number of things. Our mutual hatred for Jim Schlossnagle is probably my favorite that we've ever bonded over. And a virtual hug to you, my brother. A virtual tousle of the hair to you, my brother. Nate, I'm going to kick it to you, buddy. Talk us through some underdogs you like. Give us your list and then maybe go into detail on one of them.
Yeah, my first team is UConn, who did not make the tournament. I would have totally picked them as a 3 seed. I already know it. I really like that UConn team. I don't think they deserve to get in, but I just wanted to shout them out because I really liked watching them play this year. And they're a pitching school, which is just fun. North Dakota State, here's my rationale here. I haven't watched North Dakota State play this year. I think about a team that plays in that part of the country, in that climate. There's not a whole lot of baseball out there, first of all. And home games at North Dakota State, I have to imagine are just brutal. Brutally cold, probably, for the beginning of the season up until right about now when the weather turns over there. And I'm thinking about these country farm boys getting a metal bat in 80-degree weather. I actually need to figure out where the regional is to make sure that they're playing in
It's in
warm
Fayetteville,
weather.
buddy. It's Arkansas. They're playing in the peak humidity.
So and the weather's going to work against them because they haven't played in that kind of weather all year long. But sometimes I think about just the unfound power that comes from their bats quite literally warming up. That's always something I've thought about playing baseball in the Pacific Northwest, where it's so cold, and when summer comes around, I now have power or a little bit more velocity behind my pitches. I always think that's an interesting one and might be somewhat of like a superpower, like in a way, for North Dakota State. And then my real underdog here is Cal Poly. I can't say enough about these guys. I think that they are the hottest team right now in baseball, coming back to win 2 in a row to actually get the bid here. I think that they were setting themselves up well to get an auto bid regardless. I know things like RPI loved them this year. Ryan Fenn won MVP of the conference tournament, going 9 for 21, and he's been good all year long. I think I have to shout out my buddy Cam Hoyland, who I played with at Bellevue College, where I went to JUCO. He plays for Cal Poly now. He's a two-way left-handed pitcher, outfielder. He's worked his way into some serious playing time this year and came up huge in the conference tournament. And I've watched a lot of Cal Poly baseball because of my buddy this year, which gives me a huge bias towards them. But I think they got a great draw, man. I think they got a great draw in Eugene. I really don't think Eugene's that strong, and I live in Eugene. I've watched that team play a lot of baseball. I think that they have a weakness in the pitching department, and I think the lineup can get thin at times or go really cold out of nowhere. They lost some weird games this year, and in that regional with Arizona, Oregon, Utah Valley, anyone could win that regional. I think Utah Valley is one of the 4 seeds that has some pedigree going for them now. They have a really good team. I played them last year. I mean they hit really well. And I think that Cal Poly team is one of the 3 seeds that I circle as a possible upset against a kind of weak number 1 seed in Oregon.
Love it. Yeah, dude, I think that we keep going back to Eugene because it is going to be a supremely interesting regional. Nate, we got to get you over there for a day or two. Surely you can make some time, right? Surely. Oh.
5-hour drive from Seattle. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if I can get boots on the ground this weekend.
I don't want to put any pressure on you. I know, Rhys, you said you're 3 from the LA regional?
3 depending on traffic. It could be 3, it could be 6, it could be, however long. The UCLA's campus is right by one of the worst interchanges in the entire highway system.
I'm trying to get directions for, as the crow flies, for Drew to get to Oxford. It is 1 hour 51 minutes, so technically I am the closest. I think this means that I am now obligated to go to Oxford.
Boots on the ground.
Sorry at my wife. All right. Let's just go through some teams really quick, guys. Underdogs was a term that I took very loosely. I have a lot of toots here. Like I said, I think Dallas Baptist stacks really well pitching-wise against LSU, but, man, LSU just swamps them with the bats, so that's kind of not fair. I think Arizona isn't really an underdog. We talked about them just a moment ago. I think that might be the best team in the regional. Got to shout out the ETSU Buccaneers. They're never going to beat Vanderbilt, but maybe. No. But maybe. No. And then, of course, the team that I'm going to actually go with, they've got plot armor. The strongest of all the things you could have other than maybe anime or God on your side, Georgia Tech. So Georgia Tech's amazing, long-tenured coach, Danny Hall, 70 years old. He's going to retire after this season. They have made it back to the dance. And Georgia Tech may just have a little bit of firepower to go with them, too. Drew Burris, Kyle Lodise, cousin of Alex Lodise, they've got some bats. They've got the plot armor with their coach retiring at the end of the season. I'll tell you another thing they've got. They were pissed to not be a regional host. So being a number 2, if it's going to bother anybody, if it's going to fire anybody up, I think it is going to be, Georgia Tech there. So I'm hyped to see what they can do, especially in that testy Oxford regional that is but 2 hours from Drewski. So we'll see what happens there. Don't ever call me Drewski, just by the way. All right. So we are going to take a quick break, guys. When we get back, after you've listened to some drop teens, we're going to talk about some stuff going on around the minors and major leagues. And so we hope you'll stay with us. Enjoy these sweet, sweet ear tunes in your ears.
Here she comes, walking in walls, talking in tongues. Got the boys in line. Yes, I'm.
Alrighty, we are back, and we are going to move on from college baseball despite our utmost joy in having that conversation. That was really fun for us. And we're going to talk about some prospect news. Not a whole lot going on in the prospect world in the last 5 days or so, but there are a couple notable players and notable promotions that we have to talk about. And we're starting it off with none other than Marcelo Meyer, who has been promoted to the big league club up in Boston. And I'm just going to flip it right to you, Rhys. What are your thoughts on this promotion? Do you think he has a chance to stick with the big league club, or is this just a fill-in? How are we feeling here on Marcelo?
Can he play first base? They need it. They might need him to play third base too. But yeah, I think this is a long time coming. He's been ready for basically this entire season. His prospect stock has kind of gone up and down. I think people thought he was going to be this transformative franchise level prospect. I don't think he's going to be that. I think he's just going to be a comfortable, above average, big league regular and be totally fine. And being from the fourth pick in the draft, that is awesome. Getting anything from a draft pick, honestly, is pretty sweet. It's a good level swing. I have real concerns about him at shortstop, but it's a good enough arm. Play third base, play second base. I know that's what they talked about this season with him. There's plenty of power. It's more hit over power, but I think there's more power that he can unlock as he gets older and maybe adds a little bit more loft to his swing. I'm a big fan of Marcelo Meyer. I think that this is a long overdue promotion, and at some point we have to see Roman Anthony get called up. But like we keep talking about, this Boston Red Sox roster is just weird.
Drew, did you see Roman Anthony being the last of the big three to make it to the big leagues? Because I certainly didn't, but I'm not against it the way that this season's going for Boston. I think it makes sense.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Nate. I think that coming into the season, it was more. I think the Wilyer Abreu breakout has been vastly undercovered, but that's exactly what it is. Had Wilyer not really shown that he, as a considerable young prospect in his own right, wasn't going to be this, then yeah, we'd have seen Anthony a lot earlier. The fact that we can now, rotate Ceddanne Rafaela, who I don't want to say his name too loudly in a conversation with you, Nate, lest any Kansas City Royals fans attack me. I think that we've seen these things kind of just spark off in a way that it has been a bit more of a comfortable waiting game for Roman Anthony. But I'll tell you, if you're a Red Sox fan, you should be delighted. Singing even. My middle infielder has a first name. It's Marce. Hello. Your middle infielder has a second name. It's Mayer. You love to see him every day. And if you ask me why, I'll say Marcelo Meyer has a way with hitting baseball. Yay. So there you go.
Yeah, sorry, you got me there. I think Meyer is an interesting guy. Collecting myself. He's played 2 games at third, 2 games at short so far. Obviously, the Trevor Story situation is still one that is developing and is going to take a while based on that massive contract. And we also have a Rafael Devers situation that is developing as well. So I think it's going to take time to clear through all this murkiness of Boston. I think by the end of the year and heading into next year, where I think that their real window might open up, it'll be much more clear for those guys. I think Devers is a really interesting name to watch in trades, or at some point, if he just sucks it up and moves to first base, we should know that by the trade deadline, right? One of those two things kind of has to happen, or they have to shift some things around. They gotta move somebody at some point. So I think Meyer's in an interesting situation, but it might take a little bit to get that kind of consistency throughout his playing time. But moving on to a guy who at this point needs no introduction, Jack Caglianone, Rhys. 5 home runs in 6 days in AAA. He's just tearing the absolute cover off the baseball in Omaha. Is he big league ready? What's it going to take? What are you thinking?
I don't know if he's big league ready, but can he be worse than Vinny Pasquantino? At this point, the Pasquatch might not. I think it was, I don't want to say he peaked early, but like maybe that's sort of the thing we're talking about. But ultimately, we're talking about Caglianone being, he can help what is a team that has 2.5, 3 competent big league hitters at any given point in their season. I mean, Bobby Witt, Michael Garcia, Jonathan India at certain points. So I think that he should be up pretty soon. I think the last time we talked, I said June 20th is my prediction with him. I've become a fan. I just, there's so much swing and miss, but there's so much power. He's already hit 14 home runs this season. I do worry. I think big league pitching is going to eat him alive, though. I think the first couple months of his big league tenure is going to be pretty rough to watch.
Yeah, Drew, what are you thinking?
Here's kind of where I'm at, guys. I feel like Jack Kaggs is going to do a really great job in the major leagues. I think that Vinny Pasquantino is totally awesome. I think that this Royals team is super good. I think that you guys say what you will. I'm not gonna, but Kaggs is for sure better than at least 6 guys currently getting play for the Kansas City Royals. Say what you want about swing and miss. Say what you want about Chase. Get into huge fights. Notable people on my Twitter feed. I don't care. Get Jack in the major leagues. This is a guy. The concept of like wasting bullets, so to say, in the minor leagues. I'm very hit and miss on that because I think that it's overused jargon sometimes, but this is one where really what are we learning here? What are the Royals learning from seeing Jack at AAA? 5 home runs in six games. What are we learning? I'm pitching this to you guys as a genuine question. What do we now know about Jack that we didn't know 6 days ago? That say, like, are we saying like? I'm really curious what he looks like in this uniform. Like, is that what are we learning?
Because the biggest question with him is will he ever hit big league pitching?
Exactly,
right?
Exactly.
So how is he going to do that in AAA with no offense, but like guys bouncing up and down? He kind of needs to get that chance. And I know some people were kind of upset that, like, people were saying that they should, like he should getting Vinny Pasquantino's plate appearances and stuff. I don't think he's going to take his plate appearances because there's, like you said, 6 or 7 other spots that he could definitely take. Drew Waters plate appearances, he could definitely take all of those. Nick Lofton's, you could find plate appearances for him to figure out, is this guy going to be the second banana to Bobby Witt, right? And I think that's an important thing. And I know, shout out to Matt Thompson, who we have to get on here at some point. Matt was saying, like, what has Vinny Pasquantino done to, hold him back if they think that he is the first baseman of the future? And I totally agree with that. But yeah, the only question we should really be having with Jack Caglione is, can he not swing and miss at major league quality pitching? And being at AAA doesn't answer that question for us at all. It's like going in to take a math test or expecting to take a math test and you show in and it's French, right? Like it's that sort of thing going on. So yeah, I think we just need to see Jack Caglione come up.
Nate, yeah. I don't want to derail the show here, but can we play Game Time really quickly?
Please do.
Of course.
Okay. I'm going to ask you guys each a series of names, and I need you to be brutally honest because I will give my own responses in just a moment as well, okay? This is a judgment-free zone. You were among friends. So Rhys, be opinionated. Nate, be opinionated. Okay.
This is the first Game Time we've done on this show. We do it every week on Path to the Show.
I think it is. I'm going to read you a pitcher, and I want you to tell me if this is a major league quality arm. They can be a reliever. They cannot. Major league quality meaning they can comfortably pitch in the major
hold
leagues.
Their own, yeah.
Hold their own. Thank you, Rhys. Nate, I'm going to start with you, okay? Victor Medeiros, 24-year-old Los Angeles Angels.
No.
Chase Silseth, 25 years old, Los Angeles Angels.
Is this to me again?
Sure.
Maybe for the Rockies.
Sam Bachman, 26-year-old, Los Angeles Angels.
No.
Caden Dana, 21-year-old, Los Angeles Angels.
Los Angeles what?
Angels.
Sorry to draw attention. Once he fixes his arm slot issues, yes.
Okay, Rhys, same question to you. Caden Dana, major league arm or not?
Oh man, dude, I'm gonna be so mean. No.
Sam Bachman.
No.
Chase Silseth.
You know what? This is gonna make people are gonna think I'm dumb. Actually, I want to say Caden Dana maybe, but Lee no. I believe in Chase Silseth, man. If I was a team like the Rays or the Dodgers or any team that knew what they were doing, I would take a chance on Chase Silseth. So I'm going to say maybe.
Victor Medeiros?
No.
These are the pitchers that Jack Caglione has faced.
And homered off of?
Maybe. I'm not looking that deep into it. I just know he's played 6 games in AAA against Los Angeles Salt Lake, if I'm not mistaken.
And let's be real, the relievers that they have on that AAA squad aren't major league quality pitchers.
Let's just bounce through those really quickly. I know Buck Farmer has had time in the pros. Victor Gonzalez has had time.
AAA is really the league of, remember that guy?
Yeah. I mean, no disrespect. These are guys that are far better at baseball than I'll ever be. And I would even go so far as to say I think Dana is a credible major leaguer. Silseth is possibly a credible major leaguer. Dana certainly, as you said, Nate, he's got to fix the arm slot thing. Bachman, I think, could be a reliever. He's not a starter, but he could be a reliever. And Medeiros, I'm kind of whatever on. But my point is that to play to the point that you just made, Rhys, really, what are we learning? We need to know, can Jack Kaggs hit major league pitching? We are seeing that he can hit peripheral major league pitching. And if we're going to be as harsh as you were, Rhys, and I don't mean that negatively, buddy, but I mean, you were being very, very matter of fact about this. And that's what I needed you to do. This is quad A pitching in a lot of ways right now.
Yeah. Like, I like Chase Silseth more than most, but like, even I know that there's a chance it just never works.
I call again to any Kansas City fan. And I know we made the joke with the Post-it notes here, but like, this is a question I'd be asking of my organization very strongly. What are we learning that we didn't already know? I'm sorry, Nate, please go ahead.
That's probably the best AAA rotation the Angels have had in years, too. Like, that's like pretty good for the Angels standards.
No disrespect. Like, these are dudes that, like, if I was to pull up to the park and see any of those 4 dudes pitch, I'd be like, okay, sweet.
Yeah, I would take video of them. That's the way I'm viewing them. Like, I would at least go there and I would film open side and look at and sit behind home plate and film, right? Like, that's all those arms.
It's a fun group, but it's not like they're pounding on the door. And I think the Kaggs point is so interesting because the Royals are in the playoff race right now. And I feel like anyone could look at Kaggs' profile and know that he is going to struggle for a little bit in the major leagues during his first season. For an extended period, a month or two, I think that there's going to be a lot of swing and miss. The average is going to be great. He'll pull some home runs, whatever. Why not give him that opportunity now in the middle of the summer so come a playoff race, he can be your 4-hole because he has adjusted to major league hitting because he's seen it a bunch. He's either going to adjust or he's not, but I don't think it's going to happen if you call him up in late July or something, which I don't think that Kansas City is going to do. I think he's due for a soon call-up, but why wait? Why not give him those valuable reps now?
And look at some of the teams they're going to be playing coming up, right? They're playing the Reds this series. They're playing the Tigers next series. I mean, if you want to figure out if he can get major league quality pitching out, or hit against that, the Tigers do have pretty good pitchers. The Cardinals have pretty good pitching. Then you get the White Sox and whatever they're doing. Then the Yankees and the Athletics. So you have a chance to get him to have some soft landing with some hard landing as well. So like you actually, then we'll get we'll start to develop, and in the middle of June, we'll be like, hey, this guy probably swings and misses too much, but he might just figure it out. I think at this point, why is he not up? I came into this thinking, Kaggs, maybe he stays down in a week or so, and I'm okay with it. I think he needs to be up tomorrow or yesterday, honestly.
If he's not up to face the White Sox, then what are we doing? What is happening?
You were describing, Nate, just a moment ago about kind of the process for Jack and how he's going to come up. He's going to, there's going to be a lot of swing and miss. This is the best crop of pitching he will ever face in his life. When he gets called up, this will be the best it will ever be. How dissimilar to that, though, is Nick Kurtz to what he is currently going through. And I liked Kurtz. If you would have asked me a month ago, I'd have said I like Kurtz probably 50% more than I like Caglione. And that may still be the case. But I think that right now we know everything we need to know about Nick Kurtz at the minor leagues. We know it. He needs to be doing exactly what he's doing. And the exact same thing could be said for Jack Caglione. And I think that anybody who would say any differently needs to readjust their numbers and go back and look, because these two guys are they're no longer in the exact same boat because Nick Kurtz has been called up as Jack Caglione needs to be.
And Kurtz struggled for a little bit out the gate. We didn't see the power surge until recently, and that was even maybe a little bit fast, but I like the Kurtz hit tool a little bit more than the Kaggs one, maybe.
For sure.
Right? So maybe that explains the quicker jump, but give Kaggs 3 months of runway to fail at the major league level. It's not like he is going to be so much worse than the Royals hitters with 60 WRC pluses that are clogging their lineup right now. But I feel like we've gotten our point across here, and we all are in somewhat of a similar boat. So kind of moving on to one of our last prospect discussions here. Travis Sikora or Sikora? My pronunciation,
Sikora.
Sikora. Travis Sikora. has been absolutely killing it and is in high A now. Rhys, what do you kind of have on Sakura moving forward? And is he one of the better pitching prospects in baseball where he stands right now?
I wonder if he's taken over Harley and Susana, honestly, in my mind, because Harley and Susana has been dealing with some injuries and the command sort of took a step back this year. I think Harley and Susana is maybe the reliever light has shown a little bit more, where Sakura, the command's really taken a step forward. And if Susana's a reliever, like Drew and I talked about on Path to the Show, can you imagine facing 102 with a 94 mile per hour slider? Like, what do you even do with that? But Sakura, like the command's taken a step forward again. Like the command looks even better, and I know it's only been a couple of starts and everything like that, but still, the command looks really good. He's spotting his pitches. The splitter looks disgusting. The slider looks really good, and the fastball looks really good from the shape and everything. I think he could get a little bit more extension down the mound, but again, I'm not a pitching coach by any means. I just think when you're 6'6", 230, maybe you should utilize that frame just a touch more. But extension isn't like the biggest deal in the world for me because the stuff plays, so it doesn't really matter. But like we're talking about, he's just got promoted to high A, 21 years old, young for the level, and he 4 innings and was just absolutely dominant. Like I said, I'm so in on him. I think that he's moving into the 55 OFP tier for me if he can keep doing this. Cause I think we ranked him as a pretty comfortable 50, if I remember correctly. Maybe we were aggressive him at 55 because I loved everything that I saw from him in 2024, and he's backing that up in 2025.
Yeah, Drew, what are your thoughts here?
Mainly just want to echo what Rhys is saying with Sakura. He's a freak. I think he's kind of already at that point where, and not to big shot Rhys, because the fantasy rankings, we talk all the time about how fantasy rankings and real world rankings are two completely different animals, and they very much are. Sakura, in my most recent update, that was May, he was the number 56 prospect for me in baseball, and I believe some guys have graduated, so just call him 50-ish prospect for me in the game. Just looking at numbers this far this year, guys, 1 earned run over 15 innings. Stuff is nasty, and just to back that up, 32 strikeouts this year. That's 62.7% K rate. He's just gotten a promotion. Promote him again. Keep going. We'll get there eventually. We will find the bed for you yet, Goldilocks.
Yeah, right. And I like his pitch mix. He's got three good pitches, in my opinion. I really like his splitter. I had questions about the fastball early on, but it looks really good this year. I think he's in a similar pitching realm as the next 2 guys we're going to talk about, and maybe ahead of these 2 slightly. And those 2 pitchers would be Gage Jump and Jonah Tong. Rhys, you have sparked debate across the country with your Gage Jump versus Jonah Tong debate. What do you think with these 2 guys?
So it originally started with honestly a group chat that Nate is in, because Will was just Will was telling us how awesome. I feel like I'm just in the group chat because they're probably gonna start planning out their days and stuff, and I'm just kind of sitting there like I'm Squidward while SpongeBob and Patrick are running around having fun. But yeah, it's we're talking about Gage Jump, who Will went and saw and looked really, really good. He did give up a pretty massive home run, but I was just thinking like 2 rising prospects, and like I think Jonah Tong has a little bit more prospect media behind him. I know he's a Mets prospect, so obviously you get bumped up a little bit. And Gage Jump, people don't like athletics prospects. We at Prospects Live very much do. We were the Jacob Wilson website. We like Tommy White. We like Rodney Green. If Rodney Green Jr. can ever hit, that'd be awesome. We like Denzel Clark more than most. So ultimately, I just was like, they're both fastball-oriented guys. I think Gage Jump has better stuff. But I just wanted to know what the public consensus was. And I talked with a few people. I feel like I'm going to miss a couple. But and I was like, who do you prefer? I put it out there and then people messaged me. And I feel like it started out with Jonah Tong coming out to a big lead in the poll, and I was just following it. And then all of a sudden, Gage Jump, I think the smarter contingent sort of came through, and that tells you where I am on this. I think Gage Jump has a better chance to be a starter. I like his stuff a little bit better. He's a left-hander, so that kind of helps too. Jonah Tong has that weird wonky release point. The curveball's okay. The slider is inconsistent. The changeup's pretty good too. But how often shout out to a conversation I had with TJ Stats, Thomas Nistico. I was like, how often does a right-handed pitcher with a fastball changeup combination sort of work? I mean, Logan Henderson's making it work right now, but I do think that at a certain point his run is going to come to an end. Unfortunately, as much as someone who loves Logan Henderson, so I just worry about Jonah Tong, and I do think I think that he's gone. I'm not going to say overrated by any means, but like I think that we're talking about a prospect, or maybe a little bit overranked is the better way to put it.
Drew, where would you put these three pitchers in a high, and you've already talked about Sakura, where would you put these guys on a theoretical top 100 update right now?
Yeah, great question. I actually prepared that because I was curious to see where my mind went on the three of them, kind of independent of this conversation. And I'm really satisfied with kind of where we're at. Now, I will say before we get into this, Jonah Tong is a pitcher who I gravitate to for such obvious reasons watching him pitch. I think I may have talked about it on this show. I know I've talked about it on a Path to the Show, but his arm angle on the fastball is just absolutely ridiculous. Love Jonah Tong. I had him ranked at 85 earlier this month. So at top 100 prospect, credible pitcher. Sakura, as I said, 56. I'm curious, do you guys want to guess where I had Gage jump?
I would love for something inside the 40s.
I think that I'm gonna say 63-ish. I think he's right. He's closer to Travis Sakura than I think people realize.
Split the difference. I had Gage jump at 51. So I when I see Gage jump, I see a collegiate performer who is only a year older than Sakura, who has came into the league and in his first season has seen a promotion already, has given up. Let me do some quick math here. That's scary to say. I'm not going to do quick math. I take it back. 10 earned runs. Sorry, this season amongst. Love this for you guys at home. 49 innings pitched this year. That's good for a 35% strikeout rate for Gage Jump. He's closer to the show. He's pitching for an organization that is going to try to get him into the mix quicker than the Nationals are going to with Sakura. I don't see why Jump shouldn't be ahead of Sakura, let alone Tong. Now, again, we talk about it all the time, and this isn't my Phillies fan bias coming out. Mets fans infect isn't a nice word. Mets fans swarm through. That's also not a bad word. That's also a very bug-like word. There are a lot of Mets fans on Twitter, and so I love the interaction. Anytime you post anything Mets, they're always there. But again, to say that Tong is a better prospect than Jump is. It's just not getting the full look at a prospect who doesn't play for your organization. I think that if we were to force them into objectivity, I think that would change a lot of their plans. But I love all the controversy you're getting into lately, Rhys, and you, Nate, for that matter. You controversial boys.
Yeah, Nate's getting one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet and talk to, all riled up.
That's true. Shout out Jared.
Sorry, I like the Royals. I think. I don't know. I think that this is a fascinating thing. I think Tong is the clear kind of odd man out when it comes to these three pitchers. I am starting to wonder if Gage Jump should get a cup of coffee this year. And I actually want to know what you guys think about it. Rhys, what do you think about that? Gage Jump getting 3 starts at the end of the year.
I think that as long as you don't exhaust his prospect eligibility, I think that's perfect because Gage Jump could. What's the ceiling on his prospect? I mean, you have to remember that he's an A's prospect, so he's going to get dinged a little bit because people don't like the A's. Although you shouldn't be scouting the uniform. Like the upside is maybe a top 25 prospect if he keeps doing this. Like honestly, he should be higher than that. But yeah, I think that getting a cup of coffee and getting like 3 or 4 really short 5-inning starts, I think that we see 15 innings from him. Like if he pitches any more than that, I think that they're messing around and being weird. But yeah, we should see him face some major league hitters. I'm very worried about him in Las Vegas, though. Las Vegas, as we saw, Nick Kurtz destroyed baseballs. I'm very afraid that Gage Jump stuff will play down slightly in Vegas.
Yeah. Which is interesting to think about in 3 or 4 years or whatnot when they make that move.
If they make that move.
Yeah. I guess it is an if as of right now. I think Gage Jump does come with the smallest bit of reliever risk, which is why I would be interested to see how the Athletics choose to develop him. With that team playing in that ballpark in Sacramento, he doesn't strike me as like a PPI pick front runner. So I suppose I'm not thinking too much about rookie eligibility or whatnot because I just don't. I don't think it necessarily matters for his case. I think it would just be so hard to win that Rookie of the Year award as a pitcher in Sacramento. I tend to lean Jump at this point. I think Sakura is making a strong case as well. I think both are top 50 prospects, and good pitching prospects. Jonah Tong scares me. The reliever risk is definitely there with that fastball and the lack of kind of feel for spin. How many fastball changeup guys, though, do we see really succeed as relievers or starters? It's becoming a dying breed, and Logan Henderson is managing it, but Tong needs some time to develop a breaking ball for just career continuance, in my opinion. And I think that they should take their time with him. And I don't think the Mets are in any rush to bring up a young starting pitcher to the big leagues. Any final thoughts from you two before we transition into MLB talk?
I think I just had a weird perverse thought. Would Jonah Tong be a better prospect if the New York Yankees had him? They develop changeup oriented starters much easier than many other orgs. I also think that Miami might be another interesting spot again, just with the changeup. But going back to that thought,
I don't think so. I think the Mets have become a pretty good pitcher.
You're right,
It's kind of like playing in the same ends of the pool, right?
Yeah. Just a thought with the changeup specifically, kind of going off what Nate was saying, but just neither here nor there. Just a Drew musing.
I think it's just really hard to develop spin in general for anyone. I think that's a pitch. Everyone calls the changeup the feel pitch. Either you have it or you don't, which is why you see a lot of these guys who spin the ball not even try and develop it, and they still make major league careers out of throwing multiple breaking balls or a splitter variation or whatnot. I just think that it's hard to teach spin to young guys, and that might take some time for Tong. But moving along in MLB talk, I wrote some names down that I have just been fascinated by this year. And the first one, and we're going to kick it straight to you, Drew. Geraldo Perdomo is top 5 in WAR, I believe, in the MLB. Did you see this coming? And why did you not see this coming, Drew?
Oh, I definitely did. I mean, I think the Geraldo Perdomo breakout was one that anybody could see from 5 miles out. Clearly, you look at a guy like Geraldo Perdomo, who has been a stolen base-ish threat and a sub-5 home run shoe-in for the last 3-4 seasons. You can look at this guy and you know that you're getting a substandard batting average with every given. No, this came out of the bleachers. Left field was never even an option for this kind of a breakout. But yeah, alas, it's happening. Everything that you could possibly want for Geraldo Perdomo is happening. We are looking at career highs in ISO by far. He is undisputedly. People are going to say this is all just luck. He's running hot. Not really. I mean, BABIP is consistent with his career, averaging 304 right now. As you said, 2.9 WAR with a 143 WRC plus. Who would have thought in the year of our Lord 2025 we would be talking about the big three in Arizona with Ketel Marte, Corbin Carroll, and Geraldo Perdomo? I'm here for it.
Rhys, what do you got?
I don't know where this came from. I think it came from the parking lot. Perdomo, always been a good glove, right? And ultimately, if he's putting up this sort of season, I don't think that's going to be something that he continually puts out. That contract extension is going to look like a stroke of genius by the Arizona Diamondbacks, because it wasn't a lot of money. What was it, like 4 years, $44 million, something really small for a glove for a shortstop. And all of a sudden, he's hitting well. I mean, he's already eclipsed his season high ever in the major leagues. Because he hasn't eclipsed it yet. He's tied it. So he's going to eclipse it. He's going to eclipse the stolen base total as long as nothing gets hurt. He's walking more than he's striking out. He's doing everything that you sort of want. Do I think he's going to be is he a 304 true talent hitter? No, I think he sort of regresses down to like the 280 range, but that's fine. We're talking about a really, really valuable player. His glove is just absolutely elite. Like, it's one of the better shortstop defenders. And honestly, he was going to produce the WAR required, because obviously the WAR per dollar changes depending on who signs big contracts and everything like that. His glove was going to produce the value regardless. And maybe the Diamondbacks look smart for keeping Jordan Lawler down, because they knew. Never wrong, just early. Shout out to the Diamondbacks.
Rhys, it's so funny because you said if Perdomo keeps this up, the extension will be a stroke of genius. I'll double down on that and say if Perdomo keeps this up, I'll have a stroke. So there you go.
We have seen a crazy jump in defense from Perdomo, who was always a good defender, but I wouldn't call him an upper echelon defender at shortstop. And he's gone from -1 outs above average to 5, depending on your what defensive stat you prefer. He's gone significantly up in all of them. And sure, there's a lot of season left to be played, and his body will wear down at some point. But I'm not seeing a whole lot of changes under the hood and some of his different swing metrics and such. I think maybe a slight approach change to lead to a 5% increase in the walks and the cut down in the Ks. But the defense is the value here, like both of you guys already said. And I'm kind of buying the sustainability. I mean, the BABIP is the same as it was in previous years. I think that there is a real world where Perdomo is just a sneaky war guy for the next couple seasons, and that extension is absolutely genius. And kudos to the Arizona Diamondbacks for doing that when they did, because at that time I did not like the extension, if I'm being completely honest. I thought that they were blocking Lawler in a silly way, and now look who I am. But moving on to our next prospect that is making waves across baseball, not a prospect anymore, but Pete Crow Armstrong is turning in to one of the front runners in the National League MVP race. I mean, this was not on my 2025 bingo card, and I'm going to go back to Drew here. Pete Crow Armstrong, is this sustainable? Darren Doc Eisenhower from Prospects Live recently said that you should sell him in your fantasy leagues. What are your thoughts on that? And what do you see out of PCA right now?
I see a star being born in Chicago. I like what Doc is getting at, because I don't know that PCA's value will ever eclipse where he is right now. That said, I think that selling PCA right now could potentially be a move that loses you a fantasy title. And that might be me, because that might just be me being too hesitant or being too slow or being too patient, where I should be more reactionary. So I don't want to poo-poo what Doc is saying here, because the doctor's orders may be absolutely right at the end of the day. I think that Crow Armstrong has been fun to watch. I mean, 14 homers, 14 steals, insanity. An isolated power metric of 290 is beyond crazy. Currently 3.1 WAR. One of the few players that has eclipsed the GOAT Geraldo Perdomo. So yeah, Nate, I love what you've written here. Could a star have been born? I don't know. Cast Pete Crow Armstrong in place of Bradley Cooper, I guess.
Rhys, what are you thinking here?
I'm not a big Bradley Cooper guy, but that's neither here nor there. Pete Crow Armstrong, I mean, I'm very worried. Like, he doesn't walk. There's no safety to his offensive profile by any means. He doesn't strike out a ridiculous amount, but still, when you're only walking 4%, but also, like I talk about all the time, if you're seeing the ball the way that he's doing, are you really going to start walking? Like, we're talking about, pretty good power. The defense in center field is absolutely like bonkers. And I think we are seeing The Star is Born. I've never seen that movie. I'm not, like I said, not a big Bradley Cooper guy. So yeah, it's something that I'm really excited to see PCA sort of breaking out in front of our very eyes. I am very hesitant. I think it's more yellow flags than red flags. I just would love to see if he'd walk more. But I don't know if that'll ever happen.
Yeah, I am a big Bradley Cooper guy, but that's beside the point. I think Pete Crow Armstrong is showing us that he can do anything. Maybe he can star in a movie with Lady Gaga and sing Shallow, one of the best karaoke songs of all time. I don't think that this is necessarily going to sustain throughout his whole career or whatnot. And I think Doc it makes a great point that this is the time to sell on him. However, I would be so reluctant to do it just because of the level of player we're getting, the breakout we're seeing. Like, if this is the next guy, which it very well could be, you don't want to be the guy who sells him. But I think proper fantasy baseball technique would probably mean you part ways with him, which is an incredible debacle that I'm so glad I'm not in any of my leagues, because I'm not that good at fantasy baseball.
I would argue just really quickly that the correct move here is to entertain a trade. Now, somebody at peak value means that you're always going to be under lowballed in anything, undersold on your guy in any league that's worth its salt. Just be careful would be my fantasy advice.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think that's good. I think you were the guy to respond to that. My next kind of thought is Tarek Skubal versus Paul Skeens. Who's the better pitcher right now, and who would you rather have long term, Rhys?
I'm taking Tarek Skubal, the best pitcher on the face of the planet, and it's not even close. Tarek Skubal ended the game with 102 mile per hour fastball. He has been lights out. I believe I saw going into his last outing that he has allowed 3 walks in eight outings. Like, we're talking about, the command is fantastic. He is overpowering the best hitters in the entire world. The only one that he can't seem to overpower is the Tigers' kryptonite in Jose Ramirez, which, to be fair, he's every pitcher's kryptonite. He is the superstar, like the most underrated superstar in sports right now. So yeah, I mean, Tarek Skubal, and Paul Skeens sort of having like a step back. The fastball shape's never been very good. The splinker is not getting the same results. He's throwing too many pitches too. Like, I think I saw like he's throwing like 5 or 6 pitches. 5 or 6 probably. Well, 5 or 6 more pitches. What I meant. Like, it felt like he's throwing like 9 different pitches. Like, if Paul Skeens comes out in his next game and starts throwing a knuckleball, I wouldn't be surprised. He's throwing too many pitches. He should be a fastball. What does they call it? Like, splinker. Fastball, splinker, slider, and maybe 4-seam, 2-seam. You know, that's technically 4. Although technically some people would consider the 4-seam, 2-seam to be 2 different, to be 1 pitch. I think that's wrong. I think that if that's the way you want to evaluate pitching, that's fine. But not really. But yeah, I think Paul Skeens having too many pitches sort of hurt him. Just throw that splinker. It's an 80 pitch, maybe even a 90.
Drew, any thoughts there?
Rhys is right. You got to want Tarek Skubal right now. That said, I mean, Skeens is younger. Skeens is more team friendly in terms of his contract. But I always look at something from a fantasy perspective, and I want Skubal because I want to win. And I think that the Tigers are going to put me in a better position to win than the Pirates will this season, certainly. In a dynasty league, of course, it gets more tricky. That's my favorite kind of league, but still, give me Skubal. It's the best pitcher in baseball. I'm not going to fight against the Tigers homer. And I love it when Rhys is a Tiger. When Rhys is a homer for anything, but especially for the Tigers. It makes me feel better about being a homer. I'm not a homer. I don't ever go into deep tangents about my favorite teams. Ever.
Could Skubal get back the Pope? Probably not in a trade, right? Like, but Paul Skeens definitely could. Well, I don't know. I don't know if the Pope's a White Sox fan, so I don't know if I want him around Detroit. But because there's just decisions have been made for His Holiness. I think that's what they call the Pope, right? Anyways, yeah, that's all I gotta say on the matter. I don't want to get into deep religious talk here.
You know what?
Nothing else.
We're just gonna cut this segment right there, and we're gonna be back right after this. We didn't have a guy to talk about. I think that's a great ending, and we'll be back in just a few moments with what's going on at Prospects Live.
Light a fire and keep it strong. Turn the deadbolt while I'm gone. The storm's rolling in. Can't you hear it?
Okay. What's new at Prospects Live? We have Max Ellingson. He has been doing a fantastic series on draft previews. He has been going through every team. He has been providing potential targets for them in the draft. He's also been going through their history. We have the pro and college daily sheets. I don't know how the college daily sheet is going to keep going forward. We have we have to talk about what the regionals are going to look like. We already talked about it. Shout out to Doc. He did the Sunday Smoke Time to Trade PCA. That was that's gotten some. I've gotten texts about that. I didn't even write that article. The Dynasty Baseball Pickup Guides, they have been killing it as they always do. We have the trading cards and trading stories with Joe Lowry. And anytime you can get Joe Lowry to sit down and write something, you have to read it. There's this guy, Paul Skeens, and our friend and one of our favorite people, Drew Wheeler, actually wrote a "Let's trade Paul Skeens to the White Sox," and he traded His Holiness. I think that's what it's called. He's called. And then the Dynasty podcast with Greg and Matt has been rolling along too. We have a Hobby Plus update. I mean, what more do you want? Honestly, for the low cost of $5 a month, you can honestly get some of the best baseball content out there. We're working on a bunch of stuff. I know Nate's working on some stuff. I'm going to be working on some stuff. I have a DSL weekly recap. It's going to be a big deal for us because, I know you deep league sickos love those prospects who are rostered in like 0.1% of your leagues. A shout out to Smada as well. He wrote an article on Victor Figueroa and him just destroying baseballs. He's 6'5" and 240 pounds. He is a big boy. And shout out to whenever Smada sits down and writes, you gotta read that as well. You guys want to transition to what's on our mind now?
Take it away, Rhys.
Okay, who wants to go first?
I'll go.
Okay.
I feel like I never have too much for these. I feel like most of my days are just baseball, and that's how I like it. So I don't have a whole lot going on. Lately, I've been getting into Reese's Cups again, and it has reminded me that chocolate and peanut butter is one of the best combos in all of history of anything, in my
Testify.
opinion.
Testify.
I don't think you can get a more dynamic duo. Peanut butter and jelly, it's up there. It's not peanut butter and chocolate, in my opinion. And hold on, I actually have to grab one of these. No free ads, but I would love a sponsorship. My mom bought these skinny dipped, and they are dark chocolate peanut butter cups, kind of salty.
Oh my gosh!
Pretty bougie. A salty peanut butter dark chocolate. And it's so much better than a traditional Reese's cup, and I am the biggest Reese's guy ever. Reese's Pieces, underrated candy, the little baby cup, so good. All the variations. Makes me miss Halloween, makes me think of childhood, growing up, getting a Reese's cup. I'm just thinking that chocolate and peanut butter is one of the better things out there. And Drew, it sounds like you agree with me. Rhys, chocolate and peanut butter?
I am a massive fan. I do think that the best Reese's product they have is when they have the eggs around Easter time. I think that is the perfect ratio. But I do also love Trader Joe's has a better version of the Reese's peanut butter cup. Theirs is a little bit less sweet, so I like that a little bit more. It's really good. I think it's a fantastic combo. I think peanut butter and jelly sort of beats it out for me. Peanut butter and jelly is something I ate every day from basically kindergarten until almost now in adulthood. I find some form of combination of peanut butter and jelly. I can't not do it. I'm a big strawberry jelly guy. I do not mess with grape. Grape is disgusting. It is a bad jelly. And the Uncrustables is one of the greatest inventions that we've ever created as a human species.
Facts.
Drew, yeah.
But first of all, your mom is doing it big. Clearly, she has birthed you, who is one of my boys. But this grocery item has truly pushed her into elite status. So you'll have to let her know when she's watching this episode that I'm a big fan of her. Arguably as big a fan of her now as I am of you, which is no knock on you.
I'm a big fan of yours, Drew. I just want to put that out there. I'm just
okay.
You know.
Hold on.
Mom listens to all the podcasts, man.
You can get your parent to listen to these podcasts. I can't get mine to.
First of all, how do you manage that, Nate? Second of all, I need to know what your mom's review is of Rhys and of Drew.
Brother, we're an open book family. She's supporting my dreams coming to fruition in front of my eyes. Sometimes I talk about things that maybe she doesn't want to hear, but I feel like we're a pretty PG podcast. Why wouldn't she want to? I think she probably skips to just what's on your mind at every episode because she doesn't really know the baseball stuff as well. But yeah, she's a big fan of Drew. I think that she really wants, me to meet you someday. She was like, "Oh, I bet he would just be lovely," in my mom voice right there. Yeah, because she's like, "Oh, he's from Tennessee." Like, "Oh, Southern hospitality."
I love your mom so much right now.
And she likes Rhys a lot because Rhys employed me, and I'm like, yes, Rhys is like sensei in a way to me, and she's big fans of yours. I don't know if she always loves Rhys's baseball takes or not, but she.
I don't even like my own baseball takes. Let's be real. Once they leave my mouth, I'm like, I can take it.
We'll see what happens. It's fun to learn that Mama Rasmussen is one of Rhys's the people DMing
one of my haters.
Great to learn. No, dude, just go back to the chocolate and peanut butter elite combination. I'm not gonna choose between peanut butter and chocolate, peanut butter and jelly because
What do you love more? What do you love more? Peanut butter and chocolate and peanut butter and jelly or milk? As we learned in the last episode, you are the biggest milk fan out there.
It's milk. It's milk for sure. But now, like, dude, like a Reese's egg, like just again, as you said, elite. Reese's eggs are fabulous. A Reese's egg, 2 bites, savor, swallow, milk.
Get the next
out of the jug, pure. Like hook me up out of the cow, even out of the jug. Other bite, savor, chew, savor. Swallow, milk, elite, can't beat it. No, Nate, I love what's on your mind. Can I see that one more time? And can you go through your candy there? Skinny dipped.
2 grams of sugar per cup.
Yeah,
So
they
it's
make like the
also low
healthy
sugar?
candy.
It doesn't taste healthy, let me tell you. And that's
Hold
the
on.
best kind of health food, is if it tastes like the real
Skinny
deal.
dipped peanut butter
They make
cups.
a really good, like a Yorkshire peppermint patty. I'm not supposed. I probably shouldn't say this. My mom buys them and I eat them when she's not around. Because like I go back to my parents' house and I eat their food. They don't listen to this stuff,
Who
so who
among us
cares?
don't do that though?
Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, the Skinny Dip brand. If you're looking to get in the baseball podcasting sphere, especially focusing on prospects, you should definitely reach out. I will take anything for free. They also are a great
Please.
deal at Costco. If Costco wants to get in the podcasting space too, because Costco just switched from Pepsi to Coke products. Elite move. I don't think I've ever said this Well, I'm a big fan of the liquid Coke. I don't want that to be taken out of context.
Coke fiend Rhys White speaks out.
Yeah.
Costco food court could be a whole nother discussion for another day, because that is one of the most elite moves ever, especially as a college student. But I want to know what's on your mind, Rhys.
Oh man, maybe I want to change mine out. I'm a big Costco guy's got to give it 5 big booms. You know what? We'll move mine to the next episode because it's pretty evergreen. I won't tell anybody what it is. We're gonna talk about Costco food court. What's your guys' move? I'm a hot dog combo guy. Undefeated combo, price, value, quality, everything's great. The only thing that sucks is they took away the onions from us during the pandemic, but it's fine. I'm not crying about it still. And their mustard is fantastic. I'm not a ketchup on a hot dog guy. I think it's just not for me. But yeah, a Costco food court. And I don't like, the only thing I don't like is that they took away the frozen yogurt. The frozen yogurt was better than the soft serve.
Drew, I'm going to let you go first here.
I was hoping you'd go.
I'll go.
Okay.
I got 2 moves at Costco. If I'm broke, I go triple hot dog. And I'm not ashamed in that. I might be a small guy, but I can put down a hot dog, and I have no shame in saying something like that. If
Nate loves a glizzy.
Yeah, you're not wrong. If I'm in a mood where I can afford to spend a little bit, my order every single time is a chicken bake, a mocha freeze, and a double chocolate chunk chip cookie. What is it?
Double chunk chocolate cookie.
There you go. Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, your dad died. 5 big booms.
And it's 5 big booms every time. And I have I'm a young man. I go to the Costco food court with my buddies, and we're booming everywhere. I mean, the old people who tend to frequent the Costco food court for some reason, or hogging the tables, I'm booming everywhere, all over. I can't be. When I'm in the Costco food court, I feel
You're
like
a different man. You're a different man.
I feel like a dude, man. Yeah, it brings a different side out of me. But you can't go wrong in the food court. Pizza,
elite.
If I wasn't lactose intolerant, I could get down. I used to get down on that.
I only recently had the Costco pizza for the first time. It's good. It's not great. But one of my favorite moves is you go get all the samples. Then as a reward, you get the Costco hot dog.
That chocolate chunk cookie too is so hard to eat the whole thing. I get like a third of the way in, and it's too much. It's too much chocolate chunks for me. But
You know what would help you with that, Nate?
What?
Glass of milk.
Yeah, that's. Do you ask the Costco counter for milk or what?
Dude, I have
You
asked.
start drinking your gallon that's in your car.
Well,
when you're at
so
the food court?
that's look. I don't know that I'm that level of deviant. It might just be take the cookie home, but I mean, hey, depending on. I'll say this: I have asked people on business trips. Like I've gone to the bar at the hotel. I've gone to the hotel bar, made friends with a bartender. I don't drink. I think I've told you guys that. Made friends with the hotel bartender, tried to just provide casual conversation and asked for glasses of milk at the end of the night. And they would do that well for me. One of my most recent trips for business before I went to my new job as a newspaper editor, again, in the fine city of Atlanta, made friends with the chef, the head chef at the restaurant the day that I got there because I knew that I would need milk until I could go grocery shopping. And I was given milk every night. These are the statements of an addict. And so anyway, let me move on. Costco order. So I will say this: I have eaten at a Costco once in my life, guys. That said, I am far from a snob here. I love looking at the cheese pizza. I think that's probably the easy answer because it is garbage pizza at its peak. And you guys both know what I mean. That like it's slutty pizza. It's just cheesy, drippy, not good for you good. But I think if we were to go, like, let's say this was a decent time of day for me and not midnight on a Tuesday morning, I think the chicken bake is probably what I'd get, just for the sheer ludicrousness of it. I mean, we've used the phrase "big boom" multiple times, but I mean, I think Drew getting a chicken bake is probably one of the most meme-tastic things that we could ever all accomplish together. And who am I to deny us of that?
You've got a lot of big AJ to you, Drew, if I'm being honest. And Rhys reminds me of Big Justice, if we're being real. I mean,
I kind of like this.
and I could be the Rizzler. I'm too deep in the Costco universe. I'm too far.
Okay, who's the mom and the sister who like show up in like 1/3 of the videos, but probably get paid well?
I've
Yeah,
heard the songs. I've heard everything, man. Yeah, it's we bring
Listen,
the boom. Yeah,
the
I need to
Rizzler
learn
is an
more about
American
this.
hero. I think the Rizzler is living the greatest life of anybody on the face of the planet.
The Rizzler is doing some insane things. Did you guys see the photo shoot that he did recently?
no.
Oh, I wish I could. I'm trying to figure out who
He was at a
for.
movie premiere. He was at a Knicks game courtside. He's a top 20 American probably at this point.
Okay, the Rizzler drips in Yori, Rick Owens, and Supreme for a photo shoot. Like, he is just like everything this kid wears is just insanely swagged out of the brain. You got to look it up. I'll save that for you guys later. You got to check it out.
Well, I guess Drew, I guess you're the only one left here for what's on your
Well,
mind.
and I'm glad that we could talk about food twice, because what's on my mind is, do I want to lose weight? No, but maybe, and probably should. It is no secret that I am the old man of the podcast. I will be 35 on my birthday. I still feel pretty decent, but years of wrestling, years of overeating, it does hurt. And so Rhys was saying before the show that he gets casually is just hit on for advice for weight loss. Nate, you're a college athlete and you're in good shape. So I'm going to ask you both if you could give me one tip for weight loss, what would it be? While understanding, I'm going to put this out here, while understanding a couple of things. Number one, I live a traditionally sedentary lifestyle because I have to write for a living. I'm a newspaper editor, so much of my time is spent at a computer. Now I am up and running, covering events, doing this and that. I have to lift things for my job. I mean, all this sorts of things, and I'm never particularly strained from those things. It's just, it is a traditionally sedentary lifestyle. Everything we're doing here, for the most part, with prospect writing, with whatever, sitting. And then second thing that you'll need to remember is, of course, I am Southern. Butter may as well be its own food group in Tennessee. So it's just something to remember. Third thing, I don't like spending a lot of money at the grocery store. So healthy food, I'm happy with it. I like healthy food. Just consider that. And fourth, of course, is my milk addiction. So that will need to remain regardless, or else I will surely die. Rhys, what advice would you give me to lose weight?
It's the easiest thing I can say is drink a lot of water. I drink a gallon of water every day. You guys have probably seen it on the podcast. I have a half-gallon jug. I fill it up 2 to 3 times a day. Get good sleep. Although, as I say this, we're going into midnight your time, so maybe the good sleep is not. We're not helping out on that aspect. And don't view it like a diet. Make smaller changes around the margins that make a lot of sense. Like, if you are a ketchup person, like I mentioned earlier, do low sugar or zero sugar ketchup. If you like butter, maybe find a different brand than what you might like. Just make small little changes that keep you in the lifestyle that you like, while also and because it's just like a lot of them are like, I don't know if you're a soda drinker, Drew. I can't quit soda. I tell myself I'm going to quit all the time, and I just drank 2 diet 7-Ups recently. Diet soda is a great thing. I try not to drink a lot of my calories, although I know you love milk, so that would be something. But I think if you just make small changes and get enough sleep, that's like 75% of the battle, honestly, man.
Thank you. I like that advice. I don't drink soda. The most kind of I really don't like any carbonated beverages. I don't drink any alcohol anymore. Lemonade. Greg made a lot of fun of me after our trip to Fort Worth last year, because he was just like, the number one thing I picked up about Drew is that he drinks a ton of lemonade. And I was like, yeah, I drink lemonade, but water, sports drinks like Powerade, Gatorade, lemonade.
Get the sugar, get the
milk.
zero sugar ones. They're
Okay.
just as good.
Yeah,
90%
word.
of the way there. Honestly,
Thanks for the tips, Nate.
I want to push back on the zero sugar Powerades being just as good. They're not even close.
no, Gatorade's good though. The Gatorade ones are good.
No.
Okay.
Really? Okay, no. We're all entitled to our own opinions. I'm a known hater of zero Powerade Zero, or whatever the heck it's called. My mom purchased a seated elliptical recently that you can just do steps on while you're underneath your desk or whatnot. I wonder if that might be a thing. That doesn't sound great, because imagine getting sweaty when you're like at your desk or whatnot. I believe it's called a QB, CUBII, something like that.
I see it.
We're selling it on Facebook Marketplace right now, so she clearly did not like it. Yeah, I've always been naturally a slender guy. I cannot put on weight no matter how much I eat. I'm just this kind of 6 foot 170 guy until the day I die. So I don't know if I'm the perfect guy to go for here. But Drew, you do have dogs, correct?
I do, buddy.
What maybe we mix in an extra walk. I don't know what your walking style is. I know some dogs aren't as walk favorable as others. I don't know. I'm a big walker. I like just getting my steps in every day, but I'm not a great reference.
Barney's very low energy. He's a super chill dog. He's a perfect dog for me. But the strange thing is, guys, is that I feel like it is just my sweet tooth that gets the better of me. Like I enjoy a little sweet treat after generally every meal, but within the last, I don't know that it's been 6 months. I think it's been 6 months. Within the last 6 months, I've done a 5K for fun and finished in an hour.
Let's go.
I of course, like I love physical activity. I'm interested in exercise. It's just I genuinely feel like if I had an extra 2 hours in any given day, I could. I don't know. I
feel that, man.
It's
I wish
difficult.
there's not enough hours in the day. That's the hardest part about it all. But like I said, I think that if you make smaller, if you want to, you'll find ones that work for you. I know Nate does not obviously like Powerade Zero, but I mean, there's really good zero sugar, like lemonade alternatives. Like honestly, there is.
I'll check that out.
There's smaller things. Like I said, if you're a big sauce guy, I mean, what is food but a conduit for sauce? So yeah, I think there's smaller little changes. I think that are there if you're really and honestly, like 90% of them, you won't even notice a difference.
That's the thing. And honestly, it's mainly just a vanity thing. My wife, God bless her, she doesn't have good vision, but seems to still think that I'm relatively handsome. I wish that my clothes fit a little better sometimes, like wish I had just difficult. Just difficult. I'm struggling with body image lately, as bizarre as it is. But otherwise, things are going good. Thank you guys for your tips. Those are really nice. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, I think this might be it for this another behemoth of an episode. We just can't stop talking when we're together, man. We just got too much to talk about, and we'll be back with another episode on Friday. And any parting words for our loyal viewers who came to the end of this pod, Rhys, Drew?
Shout out Nate's mom, because honestly,
the star of the show at this point.
The star of the show, mentioned twice. How much? Just a random question. How much of this QB are you guys looking for on Facebook Marketplace? Because I see it online for $4.99. Did you guys get the $4.49 model, the $2.99 model? What are you guys asking for? Also, Facebook Marketplace is like the world's worst place in general. But you can find a good deal of it on there every once in a while. Shout out Facebook Marketplace.
I don't know what it's posted at, but I think we already got rid of it, so probably undersold it.
Oh hell yeah.
You asked if I have any words for the viewers at home. Here are a few words: nitwit, blubber, oddment, and tweak. Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
I used to be brash, I used to be bold, lived off rhythm and road. I burnt every bridge, swindled and stole, sold all stake in my soul.